Hello, everyone. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Jo.
Hi, Steph.
Hi.
Hi, Alistair.
Hi, Jo.
I think we've got at least one person with us. Alison Peacock, thank you so much for being here with us. It's lovely to see you. Okay, well, look, welcome to this broadcast. We are in conversation talking about the newly launched Research College Group. So over the next hour or so, people are going to be in and out of this room. If I can manage the tech, which, arguably could go wrong, so that people can come in and out. Lots of people from the steering group will kind of drop in and say hello. But first of all, let me just read out who the founder member colleges are. We have Bedford College Group, Solihull College, Bilborough Sixth Form, which is part of the Better Futures MAT, One College in Suffolk, Activate Learning, Lincoln College, College Cigar, York College, Hartlepool College, and Ashton Sixth Form College. And we also have a number of individual members as well. Amy Woodrow, Peter Shuki, Roy Halpin, and Sarah Jane Crowson. So those make up the awesome folk that have got this thing off the ground. I can see people coming in. Hi, Kerry. Hi, Jodie. Hi, Dan. Hi, Naomi. Oh, people do that on Instagram, don't they? I love it. I'm doing it myself now. Right, okay. So let's get this party started. I'm going to ask the first few questions to Sam, and then I'm going to be handing over to Steph because I'm going to be too busy doing magic things. So, Sam, tell us, what on earth is the Research College Group?
Okay, so the Research College Group is a meeting of 10 organisations in the post-16 education training foundation sector, which you've just mentioned. They've come together with two really broad purposes, I think, or at least two key missions for the time being, which are to develop capacity for research in the sector and also to ensure that research gets used in the sector a little bit more. So the 10 colleges and sixth forms that have joined the Research College Group right from the get-go, our founder members, have all agreed to, or their senior leadership team and executives have agreed to use practitioner research and other forms of research in their practical decision making. So that's really important that those people are making that commitment, and I think that's a really new commitment from FE colleges, and for me it's absolutely fundamental to moving things on, that the work we do actually gets used. So we're trying to use more of it and also hopefully produce more and to a higher standard as well.
Okay. What really excites you about this initiative that we've all been flogging away at behind the scenes?
Well, you obviously shared these questions with me before, Jo, and I have to be honest, there were two things really sprung to mind. So one was all the people that we've worked with. So the 10 founder colleges and the people that are involved in the 10 founder colleges it has been lovely because we've all come together with a common purpose and we've all shared our ideas, which has been really, really important. But we've also come together sorry, I'm just getting distracted by my husband. We've also come together to make those developments. So that's been really important. And outside that, I think the thing that really excites me now is the future, because our future is going to be about what happens from today onwards. And I have to say, I think we've been so concentrated on today on the launch that it gets quite nerve-wracking when you think about what might come next.
Yeah.
So exciting. Yeah. So exciting.
I'm going to hand over to Steph now.
Good. Cool.
Thanks for that, Sam. Actually, it's really nice just to hear an overview of what the mission is and the two purposes, and I think it is really exciting. I think it'll be really interesting in the next hour just to hear from people who are involved in this beginning bit and see what they hope to achieve. And hopefully, as you say, Sam, when you're concentrating on launch events, you kind of so in that moment. Hopefully over the next hour we'll all get really excited about where we're going and what we're doing. I say I just feel part of it, but I'm not really. So welcome Gav and welcome Alistair.
Hi everyone.
How are you both?
Excellent.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Good. Let's start with Lincoln then. Let's start with Lincoln College. And I'm really interested in why you wanted to be one of the founding members, how you got involved, and why this is important to you.
Yeah, I could start that off. So Alistair and I made a connection a number of years ago when we spoke about the Sunset program. It was something that I'd recently discovered, and I remember bumping into Alistair and I said, "Oh, have you seen this Sunset program?" So we're both on the PRP program, doing our MPhils, and what that led to was both of us probably having conversation with other members of staff within the college, and not realising that we had quite a number of staff within the college that were doing PhDs, MPhils, scholarly activity. So it started to sort of grow this culture within the college about sort of practitioner research, and it started to make us aware that actually we were doing a lot of this stuff already but didn't realise. So being part of something like the research college now just sort of makes that a bit more official, if that's the sort of the right thing to say. But we feel this is just a brilliant opportunity now to develop that sort of scholarly activity further in the college, and having something and to be part of something like the research college group is going to be brilliant for the institution as well as the whole sector.
Yeah. So as you said, I'm just picking up on that sort of reflection around you were already doing it, or some people were already doing practitioner research, and it's about bringing that to the fore. So what is already happening, or what's your sort of little backstory, if you like, of the last few years?
See, I can, Alistair, then I'll pick up on some of the teacher training stuff we discussed.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So I know that we've been doing some OTLA projects, and there's also been little bits of practitioner research taking part of some of the teacher training early on as well. And we've been sharing that through a lot of our internal networking events for staff training. And that was quite nice, but it just needed to jump up a little bit more. And some of us that were involved with projects like the Sunset program with the University of Sunderland, the ETF work, started to put together some little events for staff training, which started to highlight this idea of everything coming together, and people were doing it anyway. So really, you was talking about this earlier with Gav, that it's like the metaphorical glue bringing it together, really. But then I think Gav's taking it further forward with the initial teacher training at the moment, aren't you, Gav?
Absolutely, yes. So our initial teacher educators who are on their level 4 at the minute, they're just becoming first-time researchers, and that's something that really excites me, because yes, they're doing it as part of their module, but it just starts to whet their appetite in terms of the influence that they could have both within the institution and within the sector, and they're coming up with some really exciting projects. And I was discussing with Alistair earlier today. You do get some sort of I don't want to say negative thoughts, but some sort of ask that why question. Why am I doing this, and what will be the impact of me doing just this small scale research? So we talk about how it can influence your practice, how it can influence sort of policy procedures at local level, maybe at sector level as well. And Alistair was talking about sort of people are asking that question why, that is a positive in itself. And what we're trying to build within Lincoln College is to move beyond sort of this a stereotype. Often people, I think, within the college thought research is something that's going to take me years and years, and it's going to be 50,000 words. Whereas when we've tried to encourage staff to look at small sort of action learning projects, action research, they've proven just to be just as powerful. So I'm really enjoying our work with our initial teacher educators and then becoming first-time researchers. And they're coming up with some really sort of topical research at the minute around sort of remote education, digital learning. And I think Joe actually is going to come and see some a research festival we're going to be hosting online and towards the end of June.
Can anyone attend that?
Absolutely, yes. We can send some invites. That's going to be hosted on Teams. So if you
want to plug it, give the date and maybe put link in the chat or something, because it sounds exciting.
Yeah, we have 18 different projects going on for that one.
Amazing. Yeah, no, it's always, I'm a bit of a science geek at heart, always studied science, always sort of been a person that's interested in evidence-informed practice or research-informed practice. So for me, this is really, important that, as you said, people are already doing it, or maybe doing it, or might be thinking about it, but this glue that brings it all together. I love that phrase, Alistair. And Sam, probably just bounce back to you. I know you have championed this for a long time, and we kind of recognise in the sector that it isn't given the credit that it's due, or people sort of pretend it doesn't exist, and actually there's lots of people doing lots of amazing things, and sometimes it just isn't given that, or the light isn't shone on it, and this is the perfect opportunity to raise the profile, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think there's something really important to pick up on something Gav said about people undertaking their own projects and things that are of interest and importance to them, because those kind of things can really have a big impact locally. So I was going around campuses today, and I had a meeting, I had a chat with one of our vice principals, and this was just on the fly. She was talking to the HR people who are they're rewriting the induction policy, and we've got a small piece of CHIRPS research going on, which is college improvement research projects, which our college funds staff to do a little bit of research for up to £2,000. And one of those is actually looking at the experience of new and young teachers. So trying to look into making sure that particularly younger teachers start to feel comfortable in the sector. So that can feed directly into this. So small scale, really local research, I do believe can have a real impact.
Yeah, and I'll pick up on that notion, which is, as Gav said, sometimes people perceive it to need to be big things or take years. And actually, if we're going to have sort of timely improvement, quality improvement, or improvement in anything, I think it's really nice to channel that quick, solid, but rapid research that we can reflect on and make active changes very quick, very in real time, because we can often, and this is just my opinion, is go through a whole academic year doing the things we said we would do at the beginning and maybe not have changed something, even though we knew it wasn't working. And then it takes, we're another year down the line before we've changed it. I don't know what you think.
Personally, I think there's space for both. I think big projects are great, and they can be really informative, and looking at something over a long period of time can be really beneficial. But equally, keep changing your practice and adapting to it. Following those sort of action research cycles, like you might on a teacher ed course, is equally useful, I think.
So Gav, Alistair, what's the vision then? Where do you want to take this for Lincoln?
We were just talking about something before we came on, actually, and I used the conversation about artists and designers with Gav, and it's this idea that designers always do something for a purpose and for a client and to meet a need, and that's great. But we were talking about how it's important to have people more like artists, where they do something for them, hang it on the wall and hope that somebody else picks it up. And actually, that's where the Research College Group kind of comes in, because this isn't just about supporting, championing and doing the researching and doing the mentoring, but the idea that we can share and disseminate some of that as well. So I think really it's that encouraging people to be that selfish artist and do something for them, for their purpose, hang it on the wall and hope that someone else can pick up from it. So we were talking about really taking that forward as a main thing.
Yeah, great.
I'm aware that lurking in the background there, we've got Glenda from College Cigar, and I would say they're sector leaders in the field of practitioner research, really. So I'm going to bring her into the room, and then you can grill Glenda, Steph. Okay.
Great. Yeah.
Hi everybody. How exciting. Hi.
Hi Glenda. How are you?
Very good. Don't grill me too much, Steph, okay?
Oh, no. I'm not really here to grill everyone. I'm just super curious about what everyone's doing. So, but yeah, how's your day been, Glenda?
The day's been really good, actually. Been seeing all the really exciting things that are on Twitter, and there's a real buzz about the launch today. So it's been a really exciting day, actually. Really good. Happy to be here.
Oh, good. And as Joe said, Colleague Sergar has been one of the leaders in terms of implementing, nurturing, encouraging practitioner research. So yeah, tell us how that's been happening and how you're going to, use this opportunity to evolve what you already do.
Okay. So in Coleg Sirgar, we've got a really big action research program. We've got 30 plus action researchers who work sort of independently, but also within small groups as well. And we have guest speakers who come and share their practice with us. Some of them who are on this panel right now. But what's great about the research group is that now we've got sort of friends sort of all across the UK who we can share ideas with. So now research just isn't in your institution. It's not just with your colleagues in your department. It is much, much broader. And with that becomes sort of bigger ideas, support, and a whole host of opportunities.
And just probably just for those that are not familiar with the sort of work that you have been doing over at your college, how does that actually happen? How does that work? If you're a member of staff, what does that look like? What is that opportunity?
Okay, so at the start of the year, we open up sort of applications to people who want to get involved in action research, and they put forward a proposal. This year, the proposal was under the umbrella term of blended learning. So everything that we do has got a commonality in that it's all with blended learning, but that doesn't mean to say all of our projects are the same, all of our research the same. It's really, really vast, actually. And at the moment, we're all contributing to a Google site because we've got a festival of practice. Now, like I say, we've got our action researchers, but we've also got our researchers who are part of an ILM group. We've also got our PGC researchers, and then we have a central team. So it might be researchers from the librarian team or the support team or teaching team. So it's a central group as well. Within that, we have opportunities to see each other sort of virtually, to share ideas. We are given remuneration of 2 hours a week. So that helps with us and our research as well. And then we have meetings with either myself or with Bryony, where we sort of catch up and sort of talk through the research and just chew the fat really and get some ideas and keep things going. Yeah. So at the end of June, we've got our Festival of Practice, and that's going to be a really mammoth event, actually, where there are so many choices of people who are presenting their research, whether that be our PGC or whether that be our teaching and learning team or action researchers. And we have also got external speakers as well. So it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I know Bryony talked to me about being there and I can't be there. And I'm absolutely gutted because I know it'll be so fascinating and so exciting for people to come together and share what they've been looking at. And and just there's always a buzz, isn't there, when there's events like that?
Yeah, it's so exciting. So at the moment, I'm in the middle of sort of overseeing the website of the action researchers, and I kind of dip in to see how people are getting on. And it's just so exciting because we are across 7 different campuses. And I mean, so I come from a sport and outdoor background, but then there's people there who are on sort of art foundations. You've got people there who are part of animal care, equestrian, and things like health and social care. I mean, it's so vast, it's so broad that there will be something there that resonates with somebody and they'll be like, oh yeah, I really get that.
Yeah. And what's really great about this sort of initiative is that people across the country often have similar questions, or, we're all out there thinking about how we do what we do. And I think it's just a great place to amplify the thinking more than anything, and providing the space to think together and look at how we're all approaching practice differently. It's great.
Absolutely.
What are you hoping for in terms of involvement then in the Research College Group? What are you hoping for Coleg Sirgar?
Well, I'm hoping that our action research program will grow and grow. I would love to see some collaboration with our action researchers, with other researchers from all over the UK. I mean, I've been to some other things like ideas rooms, and people start to chat about their journey with research. And it would be just this is just a fantastic platform to sort of connect with those people, to support each other and be provided with the support as well. It's just quite exciting. Yeah. It's going to grow and grow.
It really is.
Okay, I'm just aware we've got Mike he's going to hop in now. So Mike Saunders from York College, and also Mike and Alistair work together on digital pedagogies research. So I'll just invite him in. There we go. There you are. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
How's your day been?
Busy.
I know. I think everyone feels absolutely swamped at the minute, and which is why, it's absolutely amazing that this sort of initiative is actually getting off the ground, because it could be very easy for everyone to say, we're too busy, there's too much going on. And actually, I just really appreciate all the energy and effort that you're all putting into it, and I just get to talk to you and see how it's going. But Mike, you've been leading the Research College Group's first collaborative research project on digital pedagogy. So tell us about that.
Well, back in June, York College did a survey of its staff and students about their experience in the first lockdown. And when we started getting together as a research college group, it was felt that would be a good idea to maybe take the staff version of that, tweak it and try it with all the other colleges. And then we can look at whether things have changed from when York did it and that kind of thing. So we put all that together. We've had about 264 responses from around the group. There is an enormous spreadsheet of data which we've just started to analyse. There is so much depth there. It's already very clear when you look at it that we've got differences between colleges, and then when you break it down by curriculum, we've got difference between curriculum. So hair and beauty compared to engineering, and all of that's going to be fascinating to work our way through. And the wealth of qualitative data, which Sam is leading on, lucky Sam. There's just so much there; it's ridiculous. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of comments. So the aim now, we've started a sort of literature review. The aim now is to build it up, and it'll be the first publication, hopefully, that goes on our website in due course.
What insights are you hoping to get from the research then? How do you think it will help all of us?
Well, I think what it'll help straight away is that if we identify that some colleges have got much higher satisfaction than others, we can then maybe find out what those colleges did. So what were the interventions that they took to try and improve learning? And then we can go, well, that intervention clearly works because everywhere where they did it was very successful, and everywhere that didn't was less successful. And I think then the other interest is to look at different curriculum areas. So how do A levels compare with vocational areas, and how do different vocational areas pan out? Where, are all hair and beauty departments the same? Are all engineering departments the same, or is actually there a lot of variation between curriculum, different curriculum areas in different colleges? And which is more important? Is it the college or the subject? So all those things we're trying to answer, really.
Yeah, really interesting. And what have you learned so far about being able to work as a bigger group across, the research college group?
I think we've discovered we can do it. We the very first thing we set out to do, and we got 264 responses, and from right across the country. And I think it shows straight away that as a group, we've got something going for it. We did our own ethics procedure through it. So we've actually trialed our ethics procedure. The next thing we'll trial is the publication procedure when we finally get to that point, which probably be, I want to be honest, I'll say December, but it may be before that. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, what it's also been is like a training ground of how 10 organisations plus this network all over of people actually works together. Because it's not our jobs as in full-time jobs. So just the mechanism, the dynamics, and the forming, the structures and the ways to communicate doing the digital pedagogies research has sort of given us that, you know, training ground, really, I think.
Yeah. What were the biggest lessons then that you learned early doors? Any funny stories?
I'm not sure that we could reveal them in public.
Well, I think what we could say is that we've had lots of fun with the Teams group. That the steering group works on a Teams platform, which is provided by York College, and we've had a few issues with trying to get the right people in the right meeting at the right time, simply because different organisations' firewalls don't necessarily like York College Teams the way that you'd hope they would. But yeah, but it has been successful. We have been able to talk to each other.
Great. And York, Mike, what's going on at York? How are you sort of doing things at York, and how does that align?
Well, I've managed to get all the anything that's researched and reported up through the strategy groups and SLT is being recorded separately now by our senior leadership secretariat. We founded a research network. We'd never had one before. 35 members in 3 days. Already now looking at work around, we're interested in collaboration around mental health and wellbeing, SEN, bringing research into CPD in the college. So it's been I wouldn't say a roaring success, but it's certainly been a success, given at the moment it's still me firing and doing most of the pushing. But the thing that's really made me most happy is that the research network now has it has 3 subgroups, and 2 of them have somebody else leading them, which is even better.
Yeah, which is great. And that's the exciting bit, isn't it? Is that that growth in enthusiasm and wanting to participate. I think there's something really magic about the organic growth of an initiative. Yeah. So it'll be great to see how that evolves at your end. I mean, I would say that's a roaring success, like from none to 36 in 3 days. I'd say if people compared numbers, I think that would be classed as a roaring success. So well done, well done.
Right. And again, there's other people knocking at the door. This is great. I'm loving this. This is like having a magic wand. So we're going to say goodbye for a little bit to Alistair and Mike, and I'm going to bring Kerry in. Is that okay? I'm doing it anyway. I'm just going to do it. Bye, fellas. Bye. So, right.
You're bringing out your inner Jackie Weaver, aren't you?
Hi, Kerry.
Hi, Kerry. How are you?
I am very good today, thank you. How are you all? It's brilliant to hear you all.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Great. I'm good. I'm great.
It's been a very, very exciting day.
Yeah, how's your day been? What have you been sort of observing and doing? And
I've been running between classes with students, grabbing my phone, looking at what's happening on Twitter, reading everyone's contributions, retweeting, then rushing back off to students. But hey, that's pretty much a normal Monday as well, to be fair.
So tell us about Solihull College then. You've wanted to get involved as a founding college member, and tell me why. Tell me why you wanted to be involved.
Yeah, so at Solihull, we became a university centre a few years ago, and that involved suddenly having an HE conference and an HE journal, all those things, which are absolutely fantastic. And then we were kind of sort of sat in FE going, hello, what about us? And it made me start to realise, and then connecting with people like Sam and Joe on Twitter, and sort of looking outwardly, realise that actually there's a lot of stuff that goes on in FE. And so for me, it was about that, really. I'd done my own project, and I don't think I'd even been brave enough to share it with my own team, which in hindsight seems so ridiculous, because I learned so much from it. And it really taught me some of the biggest lessons that I have in terms of being a teacher in FE and adult ed, especially in terms of teacher voice and teacher agency, which I think, dare I say it, is lacking in some of our CPD these days. And so it felt really important to me. So I got involved in the research movement initially. We've done some events at Solihull College. And then Sam said, I've got this great idea. Do you want to be involved? And I didn't look back.
Great. I think just picking up on one of the points that you made there, having autonomy and an opinion and a voice in professional development, I think is super important, isn't it?
It is. It's super important. Having an opportunity to really examine your own practice and be heard in what you're finding and being able to share that with other colleagues is so, so important. We've got some fantastic projects going out across Solihull College and University Centre this year, including our Aspiring Leaders programme, which is just a fantastic programme that's been designed by our Vice Principal, who's doing a PhD herself, a massive support from our Dean of HE as well. And all of the folk involved in that programme are looking at quality projects and doing an action research project for improvement, looking at their own practice. And that's not just in teaching practice as well. That's across the college. And that's really important to say as well, I think, because sometimes we can forget that sort of aspect, but there's so many different aspects of FE and adult ed that are important areas of practice.
Yeah, and like you said, sometimes we can do this work and not share it even with our own teams, as you said. And isn't that a funny place that we've ended up as FE? Is lots of people making real efforts to reflect and develop practice, but we've maybe never quite had the space or the confidence to just openly share it.
Yeah, definitely. It's so true, isn't it? I mean, what's that about when we stop and think about it? Think, hang on a minute. And I mean, my project as well was part of an open university module I was doing, which was funded by the college. So why have we not got something built into across all our colleges and all of FE that if we're taking part in something like that, we're not sharing it in somehow? I think it should be. I feel now I should have been obliged somehow to tell people about it. And I guess that's a really important aspect of it, isn't it? Joe and myself last summer, we found our FE research meet at Solihull College couldn't go ahead, as you know, because of the COVID lockdown one. And we were both involved in giving voice to 24 practitioners who attended that last meet in terms of telling their stories. And one of my colleagues at Solihull who shared their story for that publication, coming soon, Joe? Coming soon, bit of a plug for that. But one of my colleagues at Solihull College pulled me aside and said it was the most powerful piece of CPD she's ever done, because she had to stop and think and reflect on her practice and what she'd achieved. And I think just the action of sharing it with other people and giving voice to that experience is a really big and important part of that.
Yeah, it's ironic, isn't it? It's like you're saying. So we spend a lot of time training our PGCE students in reflective practice. We even put them through modules in action research, and then those bits sort of get a bit swamped, don't they? They kind of disappear.
Yeah, we close that folder.
Yes.
We put it on the shelf, and then we move on to our real practice that doesn't involve those really important lessons, which is such a missed opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah. And there does seem to be an idea that practice develops in a bubble and that you don't need sort of to understand what's going on outside, or you can just be told how to improve your practice, which is bonkers to me. Sorry.
No, it's true. I think historically, I've always thought about it in this way, which is there's so many people involved in education across the country, and there's so many people trying to do the same things in all the different colleges, but they're all in isolation, with all this, this like thinking and time and actually, if we approach things in a different way, which is we look at things with, an inquisitive sort of agenda rather than something's right or something's wrong, looking at something critically, but also then approaching it in a way where we constantly communicate and share what we've found out or what we've been thinking, it means we'll all learn from each other quicker. So it doesn't matter which context you put it in then, does it?
No, and I'm going to have to give a quick plug to our Create groups, because this is the idea of the Create group, is that if you're working over here on a project that's of interest to you and you're looking for other people, one of the things that we want to be able to do is to bring people together to kind of speed up that process.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, so we've got an example at Solihull at the moment where, Isla Flood and I are looking at an action research project in terms of learning walks. And so we're really thinking, well, this is happening in our context. Wouldn't that be a wonderful opportunity for a Create group through the Research College group? Because then we could come together with other people all across the sector with a real opportunity to learn lessons, broader, wider, bigger lessons, and see, because I think a lot of FE is context driven, to be honest, but that doesn't mean that we can't learn from other people's contexts as well. And I think that's a really important aspect.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. One of the things I'm really really pleased about is that hopefully this group will enable us to really hook people up together. Because there's so much activity going on in little pockets, and we kind of stumble upon it. We find out by accident, and you can be 20 miles apart and not realize that college is also looking at, I don't know, researching lesson observation or something like that. Why don't we know this stuff? So, that it's a hope that, this group will enable that kind of bridging of practitioners. Now we've got somebody else knocking at the door.
Great.
It is the one and only Bryony at Hackford. Right, let's bring her in.
Hello.
Hi, Bryony.
Hello, how is everybody?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm so excited to be here.
Good. So you're leading the training subgroup.
Yes.
So tell us about that. What is that? What will it offer?
Well, I think in the early days, and just as a quick side note before we get going, I mean, it's been a phenomenal year working with the group of people involved in the Research College. The amount of learning and the journey and the process that I personally feel like I've been on from working closely with everyone in the Research College has just been amazing. And then to top it off with this launch today is really exciting, and it's become very prominent part of our work and a very key part to how we evolve as an institution moving forward. And I think the training element is a really important part of that. I suppose the training, where that comes from in very early meetings, way back when, we were talking, well, what's our values? What are our principles as the Research College group? What do we want to represent? And I think the word that kept coming up for us over and over again was this notion of nurture. We want to take people on that journey and to support them on wherever they're at in their action research, practitioner research path. And I think sometimes that notion, I know someone's talked about it a little bit earlier, but that notion of research can feel really alienating. It can feel like only a certain group can research. If you have particular qualifications, you can research. If you teach at a certain level, you can research. And I think we really wanted to challenge those stereotypes by looking at how can we make sure that action research, practitioner research is accessible for everybody, that everybody's voice is valued, and that everybody's critical thinking has a prominent part to play in shaping their own department, perhaps their own faculty, their own college, the whole sector. So the training is about supporting people wherever they're at on that stage in order to be able to do that. And something that we've talked a lot about in the past as well is that notion of language. I always like to talk about this whenever we can. And the Research College group has really embraced that idea of accessible language around practitioner research, that anybody can do this, and most people already are, but it's about building a framework around that to show someone you're already doing this. Let's have a look at how we can help and support you to make meaningful change in your environment.
I love that, actually, because I think one of the things that has cropped up in a few places is about language. And building a community of people requires a common language that people can connect with and relate to, and it can either make people feel like it is accessible or not. And I think it's just really interesting that that's something that cropped up early doors in the discussions. Obviously, I haven't been part of those discussions, so it's really nice to hear that is what has been discussed. And also the whole discussion about values, really important to answer the question about what do you stand for, because that, for me, again, personal opinion, should drive everything then. So how can new institutions and individual members join the Research College group?
Yeah, I'm sat here nodding away thinking, who's going to answer that? Well, no, nobody can. Yeah, totally, of course. New organisations and individuals, because we're really aware that, individuals may have a passion for getting involved, but that their place of work may just not be at that place yet to support those individuals. So, in fact, Bryony and I have been sort of designing the what should we call them? I don't know, documents for people to be able to request to join. It's not a membership thing as such, but to be part of the group, part of the network. Yeah. But Sam, do you want to say a bit more about that, about new people coming on board?
Yeah, I can actually. Sorry, you caught me on the hop there, Jo. My favourite bit, as well as the create, I like the create because you can decide what you want to do, and it doesn't have to be led by the research college group. But the other thing that I really like, I think, has come from this initial value of nurture, is this idea that it's kind of started, this community of practice has kind of been built into our DNA. So I like the collaborate, because collaborate gives you an opportunity to come and join in with things that we do. And that's pretty much, with the exception of the steering group, you can join in pretty much anything. So you can join our ethics committee, either as an experienced person or as if you've got no idea and you just want to learn a little bit. So we've got the same with Kerry's looking after publications. We've got the same for peer review. You can come and analyse some data if that's your thing. So we've got lots of opportunities for people to get involved with us, and that's all part of this capacity building. Because what we want to do is to give the people the opportunity to learn more, and we think that's probably a really good and efficient mechanism for doing that.
Yeah, and isn't that amazing? And I've been thinking about it, knowing this was today, I've been thinking about it all weekend. Isn't it amazing that the vision around professional development could get to that point where teachers can choose exactly where they want to get involved, what they want to get involved in, not just sort of driven by internal strategy and internal agendas, which are still important. It's not about throwing them out, but actually there's a very outward facing sort of options or discussion about what people want to be involved in and how for them they're going to develop as a professional. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's
go on, sorry.
Development. Sorry, go on, I'm going to shut up.
Terrible interrupt then. I think that's great, Steph. And I think one of the things that's really exciting about this is completely off our bat. What a wonderful idea. Let's work together. And that idea of nurture and collaborate and create is absolutely running all the way through, like a stick of rock. And we're in these times where we're told colleges are businesses and we're all competing with each other. And yet, in these times, we're not competing with each other. We're supporting each other. We're nurturing each other. We're working together across the sectors to collaborate together and nurture each other. And I think that's just such an exciting thing to be a part of.
Bridie, I want to just jump back to you if that's okay. I want to know a little bit more, only because I'm nosy. I want to know a little bit more about what's going on at your end in your college and what your sort of story is of the last few years and where you are at now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know me, I love to talk. Well, the journey's been really interesting for us over the last quite a few years, really. I suppose if I take it right back, in around 2015, we had a brand new approach to professional learning before my time of being in this role, led by Amanda and Andrew here in the college, and really changing the way that we consider professional learning, about it being more tailored, being more bespoke to individual curiosity. It's a big word for us down here in Coleg Sir and Coleg Ceredigion. We're actually driven by that notion of the culture of curiosity. And when I came into post, the next phase felt like action research. I was very passionate about it, and that felt like the next evolutionary stage in our journey, really. And to be honest, didn't have a clue where to start. It's one of those things where I I kind of know what I want to do, I kind of know where I want to take this, but I felt, I suppose, to a certain extent, quite isolated and lonely in terms of how do we do this. So we started looking at sort of where people were naturally researching, perhaps those in formal qualifications, the PGCE. But I knew I wanted something that was right across the institution, that gave everybody that power to create that meaningful change in their areas. So sort of came across the LSRM. And from there, then just met the amazing people that, you know, all of whom are in this room here, who have absolutely shaped and mentored me, I feel like, to be confident in what we're trying to do. And actually not only me supporting practitioners to find the value in what they're doing, but actually me to see the value in what we're trying to do here as well. That was a really big step forward. And I think just to tie a few bits together for us, I don't think I could always really define what it was we were heading towards until the FE virtual research meet last year, which was amazing collaboration of people coming together. And I'm totally stealing Sam's words, and I've done this before and I'm going to do it again, but that epiphany moment that wouldn't have come in another sphere when Sam started talking about Feed the Tree. And suddenly this light bulb went off for me where I was like, yes, that is what I want to do. That's what I want us to do. I don't want this action research, practitioner research work to be something that we just say we do, you know, that as Sam, and I'm sorry, Sam, I'm completely using your words and not doing it very eloquently either. But, you know, it's not something that gets rolled out and presented as we do this, but actually it's because action research is who we are. It's what we do, and it's meaningful, and it shapes who we are. And we've got lovely examples just within the last couple of years of somebody going away and thinking, do you know what? We could do that a little bit better. I'm going to go away, I'm going to look at it, I'm going to explore it, and then I'm going to bring recommendations back, and we're going to look at how we can change that. And we're really lucky here in the college that right up to our exec, we've got really big fans and believers in what we're doing, and they're really supportive and open for that discussion and for allowing change to come out the back of those recommendations. So it's been a massive journey, really, and we've got a long way to go. But coming back to the Research College Group, I think one of the things that has been fundamental is it's not just about these organisations mentoring others, but the mentorship is continuing to happen in-house here all the time, every time that we meet, every time that the steering group gets together. It gives me momentum to keep pushing what we're doing, to think of different ways of doing things, of just learning so much all of the time. And I'm extremely grateful to all of those involved and to be a part of it as well.
Amazing. I love that story, and I love the real, I can really hear the values driven agenda that you have. And I think that's where we need to be in education.
Yeah, it was a very early, it is where we started, and we started chipping away at some of the sort of language and really pushing forward with our values, didn't we? Mm-hmm. So the other thing we grappled with early on was ethics, and at that point there is our leading guru in ethics is just about to come on stream with us. So let's say hi to Anne Haig-Smith from Activate Learning. Hello.
Hi, good to see everybody. Lovely.
How are you doing, Anne?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. How's your day been?
Extremely busy, but that's normal, isn't it, in FE? We wouldn't expect it to be any different, would we?
No, not at all. I would be surprised if you told me otherwise. So you've led on ethics. Tell us a little bit more about that, then.
Yes, we've had many long and heartfelt discussions around this whole topic of ethics. I don't really put myself out there as a guru on it, but I have recently battled long and hard around ethics in my own research that I've been doing, and been very challenging, but very rewarding. And I felt, because I was just fresh on top of that experience, I had some very live contributions that I could make to the Research College Group in that respect. And although it's something that a lot of people maybe sort of suck their teeth a little bit and talk about ethics, actually I find it really interesting, absolutely fascinating, because it pushes your thinking so far out of where you might have started from, and it makes you consider so many different aspects and see things from different people's perspectives. So we haven't taken a very narrow view of ethics, although of course you will find on our site we have all of the documentation that you would expect for somebody to gain ethical approval. But our understanding of ethics is very much driven by the values that we've brought to the table as a group of organisations who are passionate about research, and we've taken a broad view around equality. We've taken into consideration data protection, GDPR, to make sure that we've had a very rounded view of what is involved in ethics, and it's not a single point that happens either. In our view, it's something that should be considered right from the outset in the planning, and it takes you through right the entire research process. So it's exciting. It's quite an important element of all of research, obviously. So I'm very pleased to be involved with the Research College Group to be able to support and undertake some of that work.
Great. And I think maybe I might be just might be wrong, but it might be someone who doesn't know much about ethics and research, and they haven't been involved in this sort of thing before, that they might feel like, oh, I'm not sure if I can get involved because I don't know much about that. But actually, you will, I'm guessing you as a group will provide that support for people.
Absolutely. Our intention throughout the whole of Research College Group is to move forward with our partners, with our community, and to support and develop our community. So ethics is just one strand of that. We've talked about that in terms of publication and all of the actual research activities, but it's very much a question of us linking arms with colleagues and being able to step through that process with whoever is interested in undertaking that part, because I think that can feel quite daunting if you're a new researcher and then you're suddenly faced, particularly with some of the rather longer ethics approval forms that you get from various institutions, but to have a mentor on the side, somebody you can talk to about it, who's there to support you, to encourage you, to help you see the relevance of it. And it's not just an annoyance, but it's absolutely fundamental to how you might structure your research. I think it can only be a positive. So that's very much the approach that Research College Group is trying to take.
Great. And I think it's really important that people know that they can, we've already covered how that people are welcome to get involved. People will be able to see themselves hopefully getting involved because they'll feel like they've got that support, which is great. Jo, haven't come to you yet, but I'm gonna.
Oh, okay. All right then.
I want to know what you're most excited about.
Well, I think for us, I think my colleague Dan is possibly out there, and we're small because we're a little sixth form college, but we've got big ambitions in terms of teacher research. We call ourselves teachers in a sixth form, you see. We don't say practitioner. But yeah, we really have. But we know we need friends, and we realised that a few years ago when we started out and we dipped our toe in the water. Sam loves that phrase of practitioner research or teacher research, and that's when we got connected to people like the Learning and Skills Research Network and the Ethic Research Meets. So I met Alistair and Sunset and all this, and it's just grown and grown. And we absolutely need friends. We can't do it on our own, but neither should we. It's back to this thing about, connecting with people. There's no point discovering great things about how to, work with our students if we don't share it with anybody. So, yeah, that's what I'm most excited about.
Great. And I think there is one of the things that I'm picking up on is the power of collaboration and the power of diverse thinking. And I've always known or had a suspicion about the power of that. But just looking at what's been achieved already to this point is phenomenal in the being willing to come to the table with different thinking, but it with a what's the right phrase, like a joint ambition to raise the profile of practitioner research and do something really meaningful. So I just want to say, probably from everybody, that what you're doing is amazing. So massive kudos for that. Sam, I'm going to come back to you. What's your reflections as we're talking?
My reflection, I suppose, is that we've come such a long way in such a really short space of time. Going back to the first question you asked me about what excited me, I said it was about working with the people that I've worked with over the period. And you can see why. I mean, I've learned so much in doing this, not just about stuff like branding and marketing and how to launch, but, you know, I've been really active in the ethics group, and I've learned so much about ethics. And I'm really proud that we've got things, you know, you can go onto our website. If you haven't got ethics forms in your college, you can download yours, take our logo off, stick your logo on, and you're done. And I don't know, I just find the whole thing really exciting. The fact that we open it up now to other people in the sector, and we're saying that this is what we've done, and it would be great if you could join us and if you could build on it. And I'm really hoping that in the same way as that other initiatives like Dancing Princesses and Tutor Voices, going back a long way, have inspired myself and other people to go, I'm just going to do it. I'm hoping that there's somebody watching this or on Twitter or whatever, or who joins in and does something through Create or Collaborate and goes, do you know what? I'm just going to do X. And then the sector continues to move, because as Joe rightly said, you can't do it alone, and one person shouldn't do it alone. And the joy of this has been all of these really great heads all together. So that's what I would like to see going forward, and that is what really, really excites me about the project as a whole.
Great. And you know what, if and it's that whole thing of, even if nobody else joined in, which obviously they're going to, you've already done and are doing something super amazing, which will have that ripple effect out in the 10 colleges. And I think what's really exciting for me is the capacity and the momentum, I think, is going to just go build very quickly. I think it's I don't know, Joe, I'm looking at you. I think we should take some questions. So if people want to put in the chat their questions,
there is a question. There is a question
already, and that just prompted me, because I think, you know, people will have questions, and if it's a question for a particular person, then please put that in the chat as well, and we'll field those. But otherwise, I'll just see what's coming up in the chat, and we'll start there. So someone is asking about, if they're new to FE Action Research, what's the best place to start?
Not starting with the silence like that.
Everyone's allowed think time. It's totally fine.
Go on.
I would say look for somebody in your college. But if you haven't got that, that's the purpose of us. So you can come and put forward a project to us, and we'll allocate somebody to help you work through it, and we can take you through the ethics, and we can take you through the inception of your idea, and we can take you all the way through to publication. So we're there to help people develop and to develop the capacity, with the hope, though, that you then go on and pay forward when it's your turn and you become an experienced other.
And I think that's say, I don't know where people have found out about today. Not everybody's on Twitter, of course. Got to remember that. But it is a bit of a hotbed of activity for where you can get friends and help and support, isn't it, around FE research. So if you're just thinking, where do I start? Actually, hashtag FE research on Twitter and start connecting with anybody using that hashtag. So at a very simple level, making some connections can help.
Yeah.
There's the PD North do the tapestry days, don't they? And they look at practitioner research, so you can get help through things like that, and the OTLA, I suppose, as well. So there are other things that we're there to help too.
Great. any last words from you, Sam, and Joe? But Sam, I'm going to come to you. Any last words about the launch day, or what the hope is as we go forwards?
I think the launch day, 3 words spring to mind, which is now a glass of wine. But going forward, I really hope people see it as an opportunity they like what we've done and to come and collaborate with us and to engage with us and to create through us. For me, that's going to be the real acid test, because we can carry on and we'll keep carrying on developing our colleges and developing ourselves. But we would like to be able to bring in other people. So I think it would become the lifeblood if you've got people joining in and new ideas coming in.
Yeah, and I think, I would encourage everyone to sort of, if there is someone if you feel on your own about it, it's about raising the awareness of in your college. So if there's someone in charge of professional development who does all of that, share this information with them, because actually it might be something, once you ask about a bit, it might be something that a whole bunch of people in your college wants to get involved in very quickly. Both internal and external connections could be made. So I think that would be, people, like you say, just to ask the question, just to send you a message and see how they can get involved would be great.
Yeah. In fact, I know Naomi's been with us today in the chat, and that's exactly what she did. And I think she was surprised by the kind of group that she's formed in her own college. Look, we've gone over the hour, people. You're that enthusiastic? We've gone over the hour, but we are going to have to say goodbye now, and see people on the website, through Twitter, wherever.
I'm sure, Joe, there'll be more live broadcasts to come where you can share different sort of bits of things that people are doing, how it's evolving, because I think people want to know what's going on, don't they? So, well done, everyone.
Thank you for looking after us today, Steph.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I've loved it. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.